Hey everybody, welcome to the Anthony and Tom Show. We are a weekly podcast that critiques and memes music. I'm your host Trevor, aka R.L. Stein's Beast Coast, aka MC Don't Put Q-Tips Directly Into Your Ears. And I'm joined by my ever-attentive co-host, my best friend, my pal, my amigo, Vincent.
Aka my soda needs a DJ Khaled. AKA Westside Gun was at the front row of Double or Nothing, and Kenny Omega gave him a fist bump. He was like going around fist bumping the fans, and I've never seen Westside Gun more happy in my life.
He doesn't really have a lot of reason to be happy except for that.
He was also wearing his own merch.
Nice.
So I thought that was funny.
Self-promoting is the way to go. This is episode 84 of the Anthony and Tom Show, an episode we'd like to call Beast Coast, Escape from New York, starring Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
In this episode, we got a couple of reviews for these new albums we'll be talking about. Carly Rae Jepsen makes her a well-deserved return to pop stardom on her new album, Dedicated. Detroit rapper Zelooperz, just one rapper, not multiple.
Like Trevor thought earlier today.
Turns heads with his new album, Dyn-o-mite. DJ Khaled gets every feature in the world and their mothers on his new album, Father of Asahd, just like on Kanye West Champions.
Kanye West Champions featuring Quavo, 2 Chainz, Big Sean, Gucci Mane because he just got out of prison, the 96 LA Lakers, 97 LA Lakers.
And every member of the crowd. And New York rap groups Flatbush Zombies, The Underachievers, and Pro Era are going to team up as Beast Coast on their debut album, Escape from New York.
And they're going to fight Thanos and escape from New
and
York.
Dr. Eggman.
Today's intro demo, theme song, shitty mix, whatever it's called, Food. I don't know why it's coming out. It came out way more compressed and distorted than I wanted to. I don't know if that's just because I'm playing it through my phone and it's going into my mixer weird, but I don't know. It's better when I was listening to my speakers, so sorry if it sucked. It's time to get into a review of Carly Rae Jepsen's Dedicated. She's dedicated to making out with herself on the front cover. She's doing that thing that kids do where they're going like that.
I don't think kids do that anymore. I think that's just a joke now.
I think that's what I learned that as a kid from the weird guy on SpongeBob that looked like Andy Warhol.
I think that was the guy that voiced Mermaid Man.
Was it?
The mayor? Yeah.
It looked like Andy
And
Warhol.
he turns around and kisses his chair and turns around and goes, "What?"
That's Mario, actually.
Oh, shoot. Carly Rae Jepsen's Dedicated. Carly Rae Jepsen is a Canadian pop star, so if you live in America, that's probably why you've never heard of her. That's probably why you've never heard of Drake either. She got her start on Canadian Idol, which is American Idol, but when you lose, you're doused in maple syrup.
And then you're sent out into the woods to fight the dire wolves.
That's the only Canada jokes we're going to make today. In 2012, she really gained a lot of traction on the single Call Me Maybe, which was really, really catchy and a lot of fun, but it was...
overly played.
Yeah, people panned it a lot because they thought it was annoying. And
Yeah.
they're like, this is what the problem is with pop music, with the pop music today.
And it's like one of those, I think it's one of those first songs in the internet era that like took off even more because of like the dumb viral video attached. Not the music video.
No, you know what took off the most out of the internet era? Crank That Soulja Boy.
That's not even that. No, but like because of the guys playing the baseball team that was in the band doing the weird dance moves.
Yeah.
That's essentially a precursor to like TikTok. And how like Old Town Road is picking up because people are doing that stupid yeehaw challenge or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, I
Drink
guess
the
it's-
water and then become like a cowboy or some shit.
Yes.
Essentially that's precursor.
I need to start drinking more water, I think. Yeah, Jepsen really gained like a lot of ground because of the internet. And like I mentioned Soulja Boy, but that is a 100% real thing. Soulja Boy was one of the first artists to like gain a lot of traction because of the internet, and Carly Rae Jepsen I think was a close second.
I
like,
think
really
Gambino
followed
was
that
actually the
footstep.
first artist to gain some traction
because the internet.
all the bad jokes today.
Pretty much ever since Call Me Maybe, Carly Rae Jepsen has really faded into obscurity here in the States. I really don't know about Canada, but I don't even know where that is.
Riggs lives there. They have Maple
Justin
Syrup,
Bieber lived there.
Dire Wolves,
Degrassi.
Degrassi. weed, better healthcare, more liberal government. Besides the Drake, it's pretty good. Besides the guy who neglects his children, everything's pretty good.
Yeah, we've got Pusha over here. In 2015, Carly Rae Jepsen released Emotion, which is a really great pop album with a lot of 80s influence and dance pop influence with some really great songs like I Really Like You.
I really like you.
Run Away With Me, Boy Problems. There's a lot of fun B-sides that were released in 2016 as an EP. And then an extra B-sides record that stood out in 2017, Cut to the Feeling.
Such
only
fantastic.
like a couple tracks.
No,
but...
Cut to the Feeling was a single. Do you not remember?
Yeah.
Are you just having...
There were more tracks. Those were from this year. Or last year.
Last year, yeah.
My bad. And Dedicated is her next album since Emotion.
Yeah, apparently she wrote... The reason it's called Dedicated is because she wrote 200 songs. She wrote 200 songs for this album. I don't know if you're aware of that fact.
I didn't know that.
And one of them was called Dedicated, but that got like cut as well. It's down to 15.
So now it doesn't really matter.
But she wrote 200 fucking songs for this. What have you done with your life?
Not that.
Not write 200
I'm not
songs?
a musician, though.
But just the factor that she like wrote 200 songs, I think also kind of plays in the factor why this kind of seems overly long. It's a fun record, don't get me wrong, and I think it has its problems, and I think people can make arguments of why this is not as good as Emotion. But for me personally, I think the heart wants what the heart wants, and my brain may tell me that there's problems with this album, but my heart wants 9 hours of Carly Rae Jepsen on loop. So I gotta go with my heart on this one, and just all the fantastic sweet pop I need on this. Going through everything, Julien, No Drug Like Me, Now That I Find You, the singles that came out that are the first 3 tracks on this album, like just hit like nothing else. That is just such a solid composition of singles to start everything off. Julien's completely frantic and just amazing with the undeniable sticky hook. Now that No Drug Like Me has this very kind of like, not void, but kind of like, kind of faded like beat to it, so it's like you're almost in this haze of Carly Rae Jepsen addiction. There's no other drug like Carly Rae Jepsen, and now I'm hooked. Now I'm getting straight 10 cc's of Carly Rae Jepsen into my veins. Now That I Find You is another fantastic track. Want You in My Room, where she wants to do bad things to you, so she wants to commit tax fraud with you. The fantastic keys on Everything He Needs kind of comes off as like a piano ballad of sorts. Really like retro for with those keys.
I like that one. This is probably one of my favorite tracks on the record. To me, it kind of came off as a weak start because I really actually don't like Julien at all.
The song.
The song, not the king from Madagascar. The song, like the first track on this, I thought was actually really weak. I don't like the hook. I thought that it was kind of oversung and overplayed, and I was like, why did this come right out of the gate like this? I also thought it was really long, but picking up right after that, I think that the album picked up steam really quickly. Going into Everything He Needs, I thought was just a lot of fun with a lot of like really cool polyrhythmic usage here. Happy Not Knowing, I thought was really sticky and fun as well, with a great hook. And I'll Be Your Girl as well. It took me a while to figure out what she was saying, and I remembered that it was the title of the song.
Feels right with featuring the only feature on here with Electric Guest, who's someone you have to actually plug into the wall so it would operate right. But I like that feature. I like how his vocals on the hook kind of match with Jepsen. It adds like a nice dynamic, but also a nice like difference between some of these tracks, because it's in the later section. I feel like for this album, the better tracks are in the first half, and then the weaker tracks are in the second. I don't feel like any track on here is necessarily bad, but there's weaker moments I do not care for as much. Like the sound and Party for One don't really hit me as strong as moments on the first half, like Everything You Need or Want You in My Room. I feel like on this lyrically, she's not really challenging herself as enough, because all these songs are songs about relationships or people or love in general, and she's kind of done this before.
Yeah, I can't imagine what the other like 185 songs
just
were like.
This, I imagine. and like one weird track where she was eating spaghetti or maple syrup.
I wish that was
something.
up on his.
But like I feel like again she isn't really trying I guess challenging herself to try out different themes on this thing. It's kind of similar in nature to the tracks on Emotion, which isn't really a bad thing because if the music has passion behind it, it's good. But I feel like at some point you gotta make a stance in saying that this is a little bit too much of the same thing. I feel like the passion is good enough and solid throughout the entire thing, even on my least favorite tracks, The Sound and Party for One, where it still sticks the landing for me.
Yeah, I listened through the sound and I was like, I don't really care for this, but by the time it was over, I ended up liking it more. But there are I think there aren't any bad tracks per se, but there are definitely some forgettable ones. Real Love and For Sure, I don't even remember. Too Much, I don't think I remember very well. And these are both Automatically in Love. I also didn't. I mean, these tracks don't stick out in my mind. If you asked me to hum the line, I probably couldn't.
Yeah. I feel like the problem with this is that there's too much. I feel like with a hyper-saturated, hyper-sweet tooth pop release like this, it shouldn't run on this long for what it is. Her last release, Emotion, I felt like it was new territory for her, so it made sense why it was that long, and it was longer than this. I think it was around 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And it worked, but this is recharted territory. So we're not really we're getting new material, but we're not getting new charted lands with these releases.
Yeah, I wish she would have treaded some new ground. Emotion came out in 2015, and she's pretty much been writing that for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Which is not a problem because the B-sides were fun. Every other track that she's released since that was fun. But now I kind of felt like it was high time that she reinvent herself, kind of like what she did going from Call Me Maybe into Emotion.
Yeah.
And both of those phases I think were fun and good phases for her. But going into Dedicated, I feel like we're not quite there yet. We didn't make the transition as smoothly as I had hoped. And it wasn't a drastic transition like I had hoped.
Yeah. But in all this album's flaws, I think the hooks on this are frantic and fun. The mix of dance pop and synth pop and disco that appears on this thing is fantastic. Her passion's undeniable. It's hard to say no to Carly Rae Jepsen. She just seems like a complete sweetheart on this project. And I don't know. I think it's just very cutesy, fun, lighthearted fun. And there's nothing really like this in the pop field that just hits my feels the right way. Just that cutesy feel.
Yeah.
Like this. Keeping in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless. I think I just had a stroke there. Keeping in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless. Right now, I feel like 8- on this. I enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of sticky hooks. A lot of fun to be had on here.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go the same.
And that's our review. We were very dedicated for this review.
To the game. The rapper.
You know who's also dedicated to the game? Zelooperz.
Zelooperz. One guy.
It's time to get a review of Zelooperz. Dyn-o-mite!
Zelooperz is a Detroit rapper, came on the scene pretty recently with his single with Earl Sweatshirt, Easter Sunday. It's the first time that he kind of blipped on my radar. Saw somebody tweet about that. And then later on I saw Richie with a T from Injury Reserve tweet about this album, so we're like, well, we better check it out.
Yeah, but a lot of people also have been tweeting about this record. I've seen a lot of hype for it, mostly because of their Sweatshirt track, but also in the sense of people were just hyping up this album, and I didn't know what to really expect from it, because it just, I didn't know much about Zelooperz. I know he's on the Kush Coma track off Danny Brown's Old, which I enjoyed.
Now I know that.
But
definitely flew under my radar to begin with. But Zelooperz is a member of the Detroit hip hop group Bruiser Brigade and is signed to their record label Bruiser Brigade Records. And they're mostly known for featuring Danny Brown as a member, as well as Chips, Dopehead, Triple Black, and in-house producer Skywalker. And like Vincent mentioned, 2013's Kush Coma with A$AP Rocky and Zelooperz from Danny Brown's Old was the first time that we saw Zelooperz, and I completely forgot about that because it obviously didn't stick out in my mind.
Yeah.
And he's been basically steadily releasing music in the Detroit scene. So Dyn-o-mite is actually his 4th studio album. And the entire album is produced by Black Noise, who produced Earl Sweatshirt's The Mint off of some rap songs, and Living With My Moms by Wiki.
Which is a great track. He's talking about living with his mom. And all the struggles you have.
I understand that now. Now that you've explained it, I understand what Wiki was saying when he said, living with my mom.
At first, when I read the track, the first time I discovered Living With My Moms, it was like on a YouTube video, and I thought his mom was gay. So he had 2 moms.
Surprisingly progressive.
But it wasn't.
Wiki
it's
has
just about
lesbian parents.
He pluralized his mom, his one mom. Getting back to this out.
I've got something to say after this.
Okay.
I was thinking about like dance hall music, and like Wiki like obviously says living with my moms, but like I just realized like dance hall artists like intentionally say like me for everything instead of like I or my, and that's why like I feel like a lot of dance hall music sounds the same. It's because they all use that like style of speak, but it's like a forced thing. Like nobody does it on purpose or on accident.
I think we better get back on topic. But this entire Dyn-o-mite release is only about like 27 minutes long. It's 11 songs. Only has 2 features with Earl Sweatshirt and Monty Love. Entire production by Black Noise. It's very lo-fi, kind of like grimy, filthy, mixed like improperly on purpose. Just very compressed. I don't know if you can say it was on purpose, but it's very lo-fi.
I don't know if I can say on purpose, but this whole thing feels very lo-fi.
I think the reason I feel like it's kind of on purpose is because I feel like a lot of stuff that's being done here was done similarly on some rap songs. And how low Earl is. I think Zelooperz kind of does the same thing on this. Where it feels very compressed, very kind of like rough.
It feels amateurish and gritty, but like not necessarily in a bad way, because I can't like knock that, even though I did like 2 weeks ago on somebody else's project. But like here, I feel like it's justified more, I should say. Zelooperz doesn't feel like he's a high profile artist that should have like really crisp vocals and like really professional production. Even though he obviously does. Black Noise has made waves himself, and Earl Sweatshirt appeared on this project, but like for some reason Dyn-o-mite still feels like a first album attempt versus like a 4th album attempt. And I think a lot of that is due in part to this like faded, gritty production.
Yeah. But going past that, with the actual lyricism and the performance on this, one of the strangest hip-hop albums I've heard all year. Hands down. Because I feel like he's taking from so many branches, or not really he is taking, but I feel like he's just amalgamating so many branches, or similar to so many branches. It's like if you combine like Blueface with Quelle Chris. So where it's like, it's very like dumb offbeat, but mixed with like very smart kind of pseudo art rap like performances, if that makes sense. It's just very weird, like shapeless. Kind of, there's no lines to hold it in. It kind of just goes all around the place. But it's also like not finite lyricism that really has a purpose and meaning majority of the time. It's more just going through these weird lines, like on the track Easter Sunday, my mom loves her son, like photosynthesis or something along the lines of that. Like on
That's a direct quote.
on Show Love, where he's talking about my hood shows me love, your hood doesn't show you love, or doesn't show love, or doesn't have no love, or something along the lines of that as well. But I feel like he's just going through these weird lines, these weird phases, and it doesn't really feel like it has this definite shape throughout the entire thing. It kind of just is going from one line to the next, very like weirdly paced, in the sense that it feels kind of freestyled. But it isn't that it's freestyle. It's just offbeat. It's just kind of weird, off the beaten path too. Just kind of very shapeless. Tracks like JayJay-Z has Jay-Z's kind of quintessential, or something that's kind of quintessential to one of his tracks. I don't know what it is. Is it string, or is it like a? I can't.
It almost sounds like the synth work.
Is that what it is? Is it synth?
It's I think it's a sample off of. I think it was used on Daytona as well. Yeah, it almost feels like very glassy, like really sharp kind of synth work.
Yeah.
I also think that was used on Pusha T's Daytona last year. That's what I got from it instead of like Jay-Z.
Okay, I think I just kind of attached it to Jay-Z because the track's called JayJay-Z, so I kind of amalgamated that, I guess. But he's just completely weird. It's like weird hearing kind of something that's like familiar to the ear, production-wise, and something that's very just like unknown territory on top of that. I just find that to be like a really interesting, just like mess of like two branches coming together. Bootleg is completely just all over the place and dumb. Prozac as well, where he says these people need to calm down, they need to take a Prozac. It's weird. This very like shapeless lyricism that really doesn't have a finite point to it. Moments like that have more a finite point to it. I like going into The Boys with Manny Love, where he talks about him and his brother wearing the same shoes and wearing hand-me-downs and getting by just by basic essential to get by. I find it's fun. The Manny Love verse on that is very compressed. They use like an EQ to make it sound like it's coming out of a telephone.
Sounds like it's like an answering machine message that was left.
It actually adds depth and it feels really at home in this very like pressed sound. The Earl Sweatshirt verse on Easter Sunday is very low. Like it's
I guess drowned out by the beat,
which
by the
isn't
production.
Anything really new to him because Nowhere to Go really did that, but that was like kind of intermingled with everything else. And I feel like Mint also did that a bit, where he was just kind of lowering the beat. And Earl always has this like voice that's like very kind of like he just doesn't speak up, I guess, is more of his thing.
Earl?
He doesn't like scream.
No, like
It's
he
more
never raises his voice, but I also think that the mixing on his own projects makes him stand out more, which I think is important for somebody that has like a really low voice, but sometimes I feel like other people don't know how to handle that.
Yeah.
And don't do it all that well. But like Easter Sunday, like you were saying, like Earl speaks like really low and he gets like drowned out by the production, but I think the production here is so strong that it like doesn't even matter. It could carry the track by itself.
The bright kind of organ keys on this track.
The organ sounds like really, it doesn't sound right. It sounds like really off kilter.
Yeah.
There's like a couple like off notes that are played. It feels like really kiddish, almost like a kid is just banging away at this organ at some sort of church, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's great because the Spirit moves you to play whatever." But like he's obviously like making mistakes. It's not with like organ tradition, but it still like sounds good. It just feels like something like off kilter about the organ playing.
Yeah. Hurt Nobody, or not Hurt Nobody, Love Operation has this very like slick lo-fi beat, something that you can chill or study to. But I just like, it's very lush in this compression. It's very like small, but it has a very large feel, if that makes sense. There isn't a lot to it, but the emotion that it brings out of you is so much more.
Yeah.
And then Bigger Than Me, talking about so many things that he's had to kind of go through in his life. And
That's
how
my
he's
favorite track, I
essentially
think.
kind of overcome them. And anything that's bigger than him, whether it's a school bully or his father, he's overcame and conquered.
He didn't have to conquer his father. He just had to wear his pants to school. Didn't fight him or anything.
He had to fight the pants. But yeah, I feel like this thing's a very shapeless, very compressed, weird hip-hop album that kind of surprised me. I don't know. I think it still has room to go with a lot of the themes, because I think on the second half it really has more to say than it did on the first half. I think mixing could be improved, but I also kind of like the like amateurish nature of it. I feel like it just comes off as like compelling to me in this nature. I think Earl Sweatshirt's the only problem where I think he's too low, but I feel like it's very intentional that it is.
I don't know if I can agree with that.
But it doesn't just because.
But it doesn't. I don't think it detracts a lot from the track. It's just something that I notice. And if like, I like how short this project is as well, and each track doesn't feel like it overstays. So like, if you don't like something, you only have to sit through it for like 2 minutes, and then you're off.
Yeah.
And there's something new.
Just very offbeat vocal performances being had, very offbeat rhymes and rhyme schemes being had. I just think it comes off as a very charismatic and weird hip hop release. Keep in mind that all scores a futile, meaningless. Right now, I feel like this is like an 8. I really enjoyed it. I had fun with it.
Yeah, I thought it was a really solid piece of work this year, and it kind of came out of nowhere. I hope it gets the attention that it deserves.
Yeah, and I hope the hype for him kind of continues and he becomes someone of the caliber of Danny Brown, or at least on the same league as Danny Brown.
Yeah.
Because he shows he has the potential to. So I'm really excited to see what he does in the future. DJ Khaled does... I don't have a translation. I think I said DJ Khaled, when he DJs, he does Z-loop. But that's
What's that mean?
That's too stupid. I don't even know what it means.
My leg
Switch
down.
leg, switch leg, switch leg, switch leg, switch leg, switch leg.
I'm already
switch leg.
done.
Okay.
Okay.
Time to get a review of DJ Khaled's father of
Asahd.
Asahd.
Nice try.
I couldn't.
I think it's
find
pronounced
the name.
Asahd.
Father of Asahd.
Khaled Muhammad Khaled, aka DJ Khaled, is a Miami DJ.
Okay, wait.
I'm sure you know him.
Can we go back to this? His name's Khaled Muhammad Khaled.
I want to say that's a cultural thing, because I don't think anybody would name their kid that here in America.
Yeah, but it's just... I don't know.
That's how they do names.
I'm not
over
saying
there.
it's bad, because I feel like it is a cultural thing.
Muhammad is like a very common name as
But
well.
also, I think it's really stupid and funny. Doesn't mean it's not like I wouldn't respect it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't sound weird.
It does sound kind of weird.
Just like DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled's really weird. DJ Khaled started his career in the mainstream with the single "All I Do Is Win," featuring T-Pain, Ludacris, Rick Ross, and Snoop Dogg. Except for the only one that matters here is T-Pain. In 2010, off his album Victory, and that kind of made him feel like a one-hit wonder. That's his biggest hit so far. And he had tons of projects in the past, like before that, and also after that, with a lot of huge features on them. Like he could get literally anybody to have a feature on any of his albums.
He had a track with Big Crit, J. Cole, and Kendrick all on the same track.
And somehow we only know All I Do Is Win.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, his albums were like commercial successes, but he didn't have that kind of lasting appeal to make him stick around. In all honesty, I forgot he released something last year, or I mean in 2017. Yeah. So, kind of, that's where you're getting this. But in 2015, DJ Khaled kind of went the way of like a media personality instead of like a producer.
Yeah.
So obviously this guy's filthy rich, and you know him because he wears these big tracksuits and he's just huge. But he got this Snapchat and started posting all the time with a lot of quotes like, "I changed a lot. Don't play yourself. You played yourself. They don't want me to.
Insert thing here.
So I gotta
insert thing here.
Lots of major key facts. He waters his plants, and then one time he got lost at sea on his jet ski, which we talked about to no end. On that was like 2015, 2016.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that was 20 years ago. It feels like 20 years ago.
It does feel like 20 years
me
ago.
At school about this, and it was just the funniest fucking thing to me.
I mean, we just talked about it to no end. We made so many jokes about it across like 2016 and just would not shut up.
But in the end, if you can find someone who talks to you the way DJ Khaled talks to his plants, I think you can do good.
Very calming. And I think in a way Snapchat saved his career, or at least put him on the map, not as a producer, but as a personality in and of himself. And he was able to get a deal with Epic Records and release his 9th studio album, Major Key, just pop rap album, which was like, okay. It lied to us when it said the Nas album was almost done, because the Nas album didn't come out for like 2 more years.
And then it was not
And
good.
it was not done even then. But there were a lot of like really great tracks with some great features on it for free with Drake.
One of Drake's best tracks. Don't
Honestly,
fight me.
yeah, honestly, probably his best feature to date, or one of his best features to date. Drake was killing it in 2016, not on his own solo project.
2015, half of 2016, before Views. Then he made
That's what I'm saying.
Views.
Before Views, like not on his own solo project, Drake was doing really well. He was on For Free. He was on Still Brazy.
Yeah.
He did
He was just off of.
If you're reading this, it's too late.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He just
Anyway,
killed Meek Mill.
enough about Drake. Drake got murdered last year.
Yeah.
I got the Keys with JayZ and Future. Holy Key with Big Sean, Kendrick, and Betty Wright. Taurus with Lil Wayne and Travis Scott. Just a lot of really great songs on there. And after Major Key, he got nominated for Best Rap Album at the Grammys. Had a son. He live streamed his birth
On Snapchat.
On Snapchat. I didn't know what you expected. He toured with Beyonce on her Formation World Tour, and then the Carters on the Run 2 tour. And I was there, and I saw him. I saw him live, and he didn't put on a good performance. He just stood up there, and he would let his songs play for maybe like 2 lines. Like, not even an exaggeration. He would let it play for 2 lines. He would hold the mic up, and then he would just dance, and then the song would switch. Like, sometimes he was dancing and there was no music.
I'm just imagining just like a silent void with just heavy footsteps of DJ Khaled.
That's what it was. But, like, people were cheering, obviously, but, like, if it would have gone silent in that whole stadium, you would have just heard his feet.
Like, have you ever seen one of those videos where they take, like, the music video, but they remove, like, the sound, like,
It's
the
the
song?
shred, yeah.
It's just
That's
like,
literally what it
the
was.
awkward footsteps, the heavy breathing, and the as they dance.
It was,
I'm just imagining
it was
that.
bizarre, but it was like funny to see that I can put that on my concert resume now. I've seen him.
Seen him dance.
I've seen him dancing in the flesh. He hasn't really made any good music since, but he's managed to maintain his relevancy with audiences, with his like big personality. 2017, he made the album Grateful, which was not good, and like I said, I forgot it was even released because to my on my radar, here's my DJ Khaled timeline. Here we are. Here's 2010 with All I Do Is Win. Here's the 2015, 2016 Snapchat era. And then Major Key and here. I think he was on The Voice somewhere. Oh, and I saw him here. And then here's The Voice era. And then here he is. Father of Asahd is 15 tracks at 54 minutes. Featuring I think it was the only single off of this, No Brainer, which came out last year. It was on our 2018 Worst Songs list. I don't know how it made it onto this album, honestly. I think he should have just let it go. But anyway, this whole album features tons and tons of different artists that are either relevant or not relevant anymore.
I think the best thing to do is go by track. And just
Okay. Holy Mountain with Buju Banton, Sizzla, Mavado, and 070 Shake.
This is... I can't tell whether this is good or not. This one really confused me. Because I think, one, it's very creative. It feels like stylistically all over the place. But I also feel like it's really fucking annoying. And I want it to stop.
It's very dancehall inspired. Buju Banton appears on the first track. In the last track, Holy Ground, which like kind of put some dancehall like end caps to this record. And at the beginning, I thought it was really good. I liked 070 Shake's contributions to this track. But then as I kind of went on, I was like, I don't really know about this.
It just feels
like it goes on for way too long, and it's a lot of the same stuff. But like I said, I have to appreciate Buju Banton. I think he's entertaining at the least. And I think that 070 Shake is still good.
Her performance was really good. That was the moment I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't too bad. But I also found Buju Banton to be really kind of annoying with DJ Khaled.
I thought he was funny. It
wasn't
funny to listen to.
There's worse features.
Oh, for
here,
sure.
For
There's
sure.
definitely worse features. Moving on to Wish Wish with Cardi B and 21 Savage.
21 Savage tries.
I think 21 Savage puts out a fun verse, and I enjoyed listening to it. But like, I definitely know you can do better.
Cardi B's just Nicki Minaj.
Yeah,
she's just
I find Cardi B to be incredibly annoying.
Like, this is like recorded after people found out she's a complete scumbag that like drugs people, and now she's like, okay, everyone knows now I'm a piece of shit, so I'm just gonna be Nicki Minaj and act like a piece of shit.
But not on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Nicki Minaj, which was fun.
More of I'm gonna yell at Travis Scott's kid for being in existence because it may cost me record sales.
Moving to Jealous with Chris Brown, Lil Wayne, and Big Sean. I don't know why Chris Brown is still making music. I don't know why people still want him to make music, because he's obviously proved himself to be a bad person multiple times, and his music is also bad. Enter Freaky Friday with Lil Dicky. His last known effort was big time bad. Lil Wayne on here is fun, kind of entertaining, but I think his best is yet to come. And then Big Sean is just dumb as ever.
Big Sean is like, wow, in the era of these terrible rappers, these terrible trap rappers, I'm going to come through in 2018, or no, 2019, we're in the future, forgot, improve myself to be the worst rapper in existence. And that's what he does on this track. He outshines Chris Brown in mediocrity.
No, it gets worse. It gets worse for Big Sean. Moving on to Just Us with SZA. Kind of a forgettable track, but I think SZA is
she tries.
Yeah.
The most annoying... The song's annoying to me because of the Miss Jackson sample. That's just a loop on repeat. Just like the one part repeated over and over again.
Yes.
While SZA... It sounds like it was like a SZA, another SZA track, but they just took the vocals and put them on this track.
Yeah, it doesn't feel... It feels like really out of place. Kind of like Frankenstein together, which I think is not a good way to make music. Moving on to You Stay with Meek Mill, J Balvin, Lil Baby, and Jeremiah. Definitely like a really weird combination of people to put on here. I completely forget this track. I think J Balvin speaks Spanish at some point.
Yeah, I just remember like Meek Mill was really intense. He's on the later on he's still really intense.
Yeah.
I just remember Lil Baby was really bad, like comparative to the normal.
I think Jeremiah was extremely underutilized as well.
I don't even remember him even being on that track. To be honest. I don't even remember J Balvin. I just remember Meek Mill like being really angry about something, like he got a thorn in his butt, and then Lil Baby is like, "I'll help you unplug that thorn from your anus," and then that was it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Going on Celebrate with Travis Scott and Post Malone. I actually like this track.
So I think the hook of this is really shitty. I think the verses are actually really good because post verse very similar to what he done by Beer Bongs About Unleashed. Travis Scott's verse, it doesn't sound like Travis Scott AI. It sounds like new original content.
Yeah, I like that.
But
I think
hook
it was
is the same.
The beginning is super funny though, because I feel like DJ Khaled probably told Travis Scott, he was like, "Hey, like let this beat play on for like maybe just a couple seconds or whatever." He's like, "Yeah, okay, I got it." Literally a second out of the gate, Travis Scott's like, "We celebrate with." I was like, Travis Scott, you didn't wait at all. I could not help but laugh. Moving on to Higher with Nipsey Hussle and John Legend.
Probably the only track that I can say I did not have any problems with.
Yes, I really enjoyed this one, featuring, of course, the late Nipsey Hussle, who was killed earlier this year, and then John Legend, who doesn't really make a lot of appearances, but I think that his feature here is more than welcome, and I think he was paired with the perfect person.
This is a really weird send-off to Nipsey Hussle. Not because the track's bad, it just is so perfect as a send-off. Just, it feels like I'm in the clouds with Nipsey Hussle, and he's like some weird angel. It just very...
It makes me wish I had appreciated him more when he was alive.
Yeah.
And listened to more of his music, because I really enjoyed his verse on here, one of the strongest verses on here.
And this track makes sense because, like, Khaled is a very positive personality. And Nipsey, from what I've heard, after his death, was a very, like, inspirational guy that did a lot for his community.
And so, John Legend as well.
John Legend
extremely
just has
inspirational.
That era of, that, like, voice of positivity, that sound of positivity to kind of capture this track. Very, very beautiful, breathtaking track. Going on to Won't Take My Soul. Nas is on this. I don't remember it.
His verse really isn't that bad.
It's not bad, I just don't remember it.
It's the same deal with his entire career. CeeLo Green here carries the track. CeeLo's been killing it with his features lately, especially on Tyler the Creator's Igor, and now this, and I think he does a really great job on here, and I can only hope that means we've got a new CeeLo project on the way.
Where's that gold creature he
Gnarly Davidson.
Gnarly Davison, that's what he called it, and that's not actually...
MF Doom. Moving on to Weather the Storm with Meek Mill and Lil Baby. Another great Meek intense verse. Another really shitty Lil Baby project. Lil Baby reminds me of the kid on Diary of a Wimpy Kid, like the little brother. That's all I can think of.
Manny or whatever.
Yeah, Manny. Freaking You with Lil Wayne and Gunna is really awkward. I like Lil Wayne's feature on here because it is awkward, and Lil Wayne is awkward, and Gunna is just kind of standing in the background. He doesn't really do anything, so I can excuse this
Gunna,
performance.
once again, is afraid of the mic. DJ Khaled tried to push him closer, but Gunna's like, I don't wanna, I'm scared. And then DJ Khaled beat him up and threw him closer to the mic. And then he delivered this awful
He
verse.
broke his dumb Sam's Club glasses. Yeah, I don't even remember Gunna on here, so I can't say if it was bad or good because I think Lil Wayne steals the show. Like I said, the whole track is just really awkward, so I liked it because it was funny, but I don't think it's like a good example of artistry.
Yeah. Oh, okay, the next track's my favorite. Here's why it's my favorite. Future, top off with Jay-Z, Future, and Beyonce. And this is 90% of the track. I don't even remember how it goes. I'm just going to improvise it. This is Future. Top off! Top off! It is one of the most annoying
He just keeps repeating it over and over and
One of the
over.
most annoying hooks I've heard all year. Jay-Z delivers one of the most like annoying braggadocio kind of bland verses I've ever heard out of him. And Beyonce saves the track, but then Future kills the remaining track by just going, top off! Fucking mask off!
Basically, Beyonce adds pitches to what Future is singing, and she sings it back,
And it's good.
and then Future, boom. It's horrible.
Fucking mask off. No Brainer is bad.
I talked about that.
It's bad. Justin Bieber, Chance the Rapper, and Quavo just shoehorn everything in. The one that tries the most is probably Chance, but Chance at times can be really fucking annoying.
It just reminds me why. I mean, I love Chance, and I really enjoy a lot of the music that he puts out, especially like his singles or not even singles, like just his tracks that he released at the end of last year.
They were singles. They're not singles to anything, but
Yeah, they were just
loose singles.
I guess loose singles. And I enjoyed those, but having No Brainer pop up again in 2019, I was like, why do you have to remind me of this? You know? Moving on to what I think is probably the worst track on here, if not, I mean, this is probably one of the worst performances I've heard all year. Thank You with Big Sean.
like year-end worst performance worthy.
All I can think of is how I got into an argument a couple years ago with a guy I know who told me that Big Sean was a better representative of Detroit rap than Danny Brown. And I was obviously on Danny Brown's side, and he tried to tell me that Big Sean was the best Detroit rapper, period. You could not argue. And I listened to this verse on here, and I just wanted to die of awkward. Big Sean is talking about how he's had it so hard, blah, blah, blah. Literally, I don't think Big Sean has ever worked a day in his life. I don't know anything about him, but I don't think that he had to struggle a whole lot to get to where he is now. He also talks about how...
Please quote the line.
Do you mind if I find it?
Yeah, please find this line.
Okay.
I like how you put out a British accent. Do you mind if I find the line, please, sir? Good sir, can you please find the line from the DJ Khaled Big Sean track, Mister?
It's
You need to quote this. This is worst line of the year worthy because it doesn't make any fucking sense.
all right.
Okay, ready?
Okay. He says, my Gigi told me God laugh at you when you make plans, the type of wisdom that made us men. Plus trying to thank everybody who helped us along the way is like trying to name every single member of the Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah, I might skip one or two, but that doesn't mean they wasn't just as part of the plan. Some love goes without saying.
So he forgets Inspector Deck. Who else would he forget? Like Jizza. Capadonna. That's
You
it.
God. That's
You
it.
God. Maybe Jizza, because he only put out one good project. That was it. He put out one project.
Thank you, Big Sean.
Thank you, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the worst verse of all time. Probably the worst line I've heard this year. It just made me extremely uncomfortable. Big Sean was trying to talk about something that I don't think that he knows anything about. Naming all the Wu-Tang members isn't really that hard. And I think he just goes on way too long, like trying to defend himself. And like he wrote this. This isn't a freestyle. He might as well have said like, I can name every member of the Wu-Tang Clan. You've got Let me get back to that. Just because I can't name them, just because I forget a couple, doesn't mean that I don't know the Wu-Tang Clan. I swear I love the Wu-Tang Clan. My favorite project is, let me get back to you on that. Like,
the 46 Chambers. The 46 Chambers.
I think ODV is one of those. I don't remember what that stands for. Like, Big Sean is just embarrassing himself and then tries to, like, save himself on this track. Like, just tries to save the line and save face, but, like, obvious attempt to do so doesn't work.
The only thing that would make that line better is at the end of... it doesn't... Just because I can't list them all, they don't matter. DJ Khaled going on the track and saying, relatable. Because DJ Khaled, too, cannot name all the members of the Wu-Tang Clan.
I think, to one-up that, I think the only thing that would have made that better is at the end of the track, he lets the beat play out, and you can hear Big Sean in the background counting on his fingers all the different members.
DJ Khaled had to say, yeah, that's a good line. He curated that track.
I mean, yeah...
That's a good line.
Just remember this. Big Sean is the greatest Detroit rapper of all time.
I like the guitar in Holy Ground.
I think that was played by Lil Wayne. They didn't credit him.
It's decent. I didn't mind this track. I still found Buju Banton to be kind of annoying, but it's not bad. I don't think he's terrible. I just doesn't really do anything for me. But I like the guitar on that track. Keeping in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless, I think this is a 3. It has some of the worst moments I've heard all year in hip-hop, but like there really isn't anything like... At least it switches it up. I can give that. It's not one thing persistently throughout. I get surprised by how bad it is. Like, there's good moments. The John Legend,
Nipsey Hussle track.
Hussle moment's good. The CeeLo moment's okay. The Beyonce feature on this is okay. The 21 Savage features on this is okay. Yeah, that's it. And the Big Sean thing made me laugh when Trevor showed it to me the first time. And yeah, that's it. That's this album. DJ Khaled just needs to curate better. Holy Key wasn't great, but it was better than this.
I have to give credit where credit is due, and I do think that there are some artists that try like way harder. Like you said, like 070 Shake, 21 Savage, Lil Wayne. I think is just hilarious across this whole thing. Travis Scott and Post Malone delivering some great verses. John Legend, Nipsey Hussle, CeeLo, Beyonce. Like there's some good stuff on here, but you're gonna have to dig deep to find it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to dig deep through the top off. Fucking top up. And
I think that's some of the best way to appreciate some of these artists is you're gonna have to dig and try to find the good in this record, because it's definitely not apparent on the outside.
Yeah. And yeah, that's it. I'm just done with DJ Khaled.
Now we'll probably review his next project next year.
You mean like 6 months from now?
Yeah.
Because that's usually how these things work out. Did you know DJ Khaled is from the Beast Coast, technically?
No.
Because he's not like East Coast, but he's like Miami's on the East Coast of the United States.
East Coast.
It's time to get into a review of the latest Beast Coast album, Escape from New York, starring Kurt Russell.
Cool. Brooklyn hip-hop supergroup Beast Coast features members from 3 different other groups. Of course, Flatbush Zombies, Michi Darko, Zombie Jukes, and Eric Ark Elliott, here known as Eric the Architect, which he is also puts out solo projects under. The Underachievers, a.k.a. The Savior, and Issa Gold. Can't say I'm super familiar with them.
Yeah,
and Pro Era's Joey Badass, CJ Fly, Nick Caution, Power Pleasant, and Kirk O'Bangs. Kirk Knight.
Am I the only one that keeps on reading Power Pleasant as Power Pheasant, or do I just have dyslexia?
I don't even remember Power Pleasant.
He's on one of these tracks. He produces like one of these tracks, I think, and then he's on one of these tracks.
Yes.
He's on Left Hand, I think. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Cool. So we are not, like we said, we're not familiar with a lot of the people on here, but definitely familiar with Joey Badass, probably the biggest name on here, with his records Badass in 2015, and then the last record that we...
Badass? No, it's Before the Money.
Before the Money.
You've never read it that way before?
No.
You didn't know that?
I thought it was just badass.
Why would they put a 4 there?
I don't know. Why would he put $signs in his name? Is his name Joey Bada Money?
Yeah.
Joey Bada Bing?
Before the money, actually, listening back to it, I got a copy of it. It's actually back there.
I never put that two together.
But I listened back to it again after a few years, because I think the first time I listened to it was back in 2015 when it came out. And actually, decent New York hip-hop on this. I forgot how much I actually liked this one. But All American Badass.
No, it's not All American Badass. It's All American Bada Money.
All American Badass in 2017. Very generic. Did not care for that one a lot. Some good moments. I remember like the track with J. Cole's were pretty decent. But I don't remember liking a lot on that record.
No.
It just seemed to offer like very...
kind of generic.
Kind of generic conscious rap fodder. But Flatbush Zombies put out a hell of a record last year with Vacation to Hell in 2018. And, yeah, super long album, but super rewarding. Had a lot of mix-ups, a lot of great personalities, a lot of great features, a lot of just surprising moments throughout. Always kept you on your toes. It was like that Drake era length of, like, hour plus, but for me, it was really worth it. And I felt like they just dived into a bunch of different topics and kind of showed a well-rounded character with, like, this pop rap, psych rap genre. I thought it was really cool. Especially the standout on that, Michi Darko, I think had hella great moments like You Are My Sunshine, talking about Asahd Yam's death. Also his hook on Headstone, where he's the grimiest sounding motherfucker. But yeah, I was really excited for this record because I don't know, I felt like I like these like super groups. I always think they can always turn out into something good, because when you have a bunch of artists together, great minds think alike, and I think that kind of helps the process. But I'm not super keen on this one. It's not bad, but I don't think they're really challenging themselves on this release. But I don't think the music that they're making, because we talked about Carly Rae Jepsen earlier, and I felt like she wasn't challenging herself, but I felt like the passion behind the music really stood out. This, I don't really think it stands out. I feel like it's all kind of not even like new territory. While we're not super familiar with the Underachievers, I know of them, but I don't feel like they're even challenging themselves, because I feel like all the territory that's already been challenged on this is Flatbush Zombies territory that they just did on Vacation in Hell. It's very saturated, very synthetic hip hop, very flashy, but it's very samey throughout. There isn't a lot of switch ups. I think the biggest switch up is probably on Last Choir, where we get that sample, that voice sample or vocal sample is really nice.
Yeah.
But for most of this, it's very synthetic and dark, very gloomy, and it has like a chokehold on a lot of the layout on this. Don't get me wrong, there's some fantastic moments on here. Left Hand has the intensity of what made Headstone such a fiery single from Flatbush Zombies last year. That's a great posse cut. Coast Clear is another fantastic, fun posse cut that has this like kind of really shitty autotune vocals, but I really like it. I think it has a lot of fun potential to it. Rubber Band and what is the other one? Bones are very like dark, intense. I really like the bumpiness to them. They feel like they're bouncy. But everything else on here, I just feel like just doesn't really stand out, or it just feels like it's not, like they're not challenging themselves. I feel like anytime they do try to hit emotional drudge, because there are some moments that like sound like they're deep cuts from like the second half of the last Flatbush Zombies album, like Problems or One More Round. It's not that they sound too familiar, but it doesn't seem like they're just that depth build. Like the production seems a little bit more darker and gloomier, but it doesn't seem that different from everything else going on. And also at these moments, we kind of get like Michi Darko talking about how he wants to get this girl's name tattooed on his dick, and he completely ruins the atmosphere.
That was the atmosphere.
That's not any atmosphere. But I feel like a lot of members don't get to stand out. Like Flatbush's last album, and even Joey Badass on Before the Money, their personalities really stood out above everything else. On this, it seems like just everyone's the same member. besides Michi, because he has a deeper voice.
I can't say that I enjoy a lot of the other members. I don't really enjoy anybody's performance from the Underachievers or really anybody from Pro Era besides Joey Badass or Kirk Knight. Everybody else, I think, kind of falls by the wayside to bigger personalities like anybody from Flatbush. I think Power Pleasant's production on here is like really generic.
Yeah. No, but it's like, so there's production on this from Eric Arc Elliott, Tyler Dopp, Sam Wish, Power Pleasant, Kirk Knight, and Isaiah. It's mostly Eric Arc Elliott. So that's kind of why it sounds like this middle drudge right here is mostly Eric Arc Elliott.
I find like when he, I'm not as much familiar with his solo projects, but like him rapping, but he has some like production solo projects that I have really, really enjoyed. What was it? He just released one 2018. It's like Architects 2 or Architecture 2.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed a lot of the really lush piano-centric beats on here. It felt like a completely different person. And we see a lot, like we see that sometimes on tracks like Problems, I felt was like really lush, or Snow in the Stadium, I felt was really
I forgot
lush.
to mention that. That's another one of the standout moments. Kind of dance hall-esque.
Yeah.
But I think it works. Especially Michi is the one that it works for the most.
Yeah.
I know I've been like talking about Michi, but he's the most standout personality on this entire thing.
Right.
Because of his tone.
I think that Beast Coast would have been so much more successful if it was just Flatbush and Joey Badass and Kirk Knight. I think that they bring the most interesting verses. I think that they bring...
I agree to that one end. So there's like two ends I think you can solve the solution. That one, where it's just you simplify the members, or another way is you don't have 5 people per track, you limit it. So you either have just Flatbush, you just have the Underachievers, you just have Joey Badass, you just have like Joey Badass and Flatbush. You don't have like everyone, because for a lot of these it has every fucking member.
Yeah, okay, like we don't need that. What it brings to mind, like I don't like the layout of this record on paper, if that makes sense. Like I don't like the way that they feature everybody and tell who's who and who's on what track and blah blah blah. Like I think that it just makes the whole thing seem really messy. I don't think that they needed this many producers. I don't think that they needed this many members. I wish they would have gone more of like a Wu-Tang route where they just list the track name, and even if somebody has like a verse on that, then they literally might only have like 4 lines, and that's their verse, and then moves on to somebody else. Like I'm thinking of like my favorite Wu-Tang track, "The Mystery of Chess Boxing," I think is great at that because there's like 6 members on it. There's like 6 verses and the chorus at the end, or that outro hook or whatever at the end, and it's like incredibly well done because everybody doesn't overstay their welcome. But here I feel like we have to put every single member on here because like somebody's gonna get mad.
Darko's gonna hit someone with a steel chair.
I mean, like sometimes
tattoo someone's name.
Sometimes we're getting up to like 7 or 8 members per track, and that's a little much. And they might say like, "Well, we didn't put everybody on there." I'd be like, "Well, you might as well because we're getting there." It just seems like there's way too many members on each track.
Yeah. Keeping in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless right now at this current moment, I feel like a 5 on this.
I think I'm going to have to give it like a solid 6. I did enjoy the project. I can't say that I disliked it. There's some really good stuff on here, like you said. But
Left Hand, Snow in the Stadium, Rubber Bands, Bones, Coast Clear. Great moments. Left Hand's a fantastic single. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very mixed.
It just gets way too messy sometimes.
Too long. This thing is shorter than Flatbush Zombies' Vacation to Hell, but it feels longer. And half as rewarding.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. But I think we're just going to leave it at that. And I think that wraps it up for this week's episode of the Anthony and Todd Show. I say this week's, but we're doing 3 episodes in the same day, and I think I'm going to just shoot myself in the face. I'm just kidding. It was just a joke. Just a joke.
What, 3 episodes?
Me and Jonathan are shooting 2 episodes later.
Oh, 2?
Yeah, we're shooting Is It a Film? That we're doing, which is not technically Anthony and Todd Show, but I had to write notes for it. We're going to have to talk about it.
So it's 2.
So it's 2. But yeah, until next time, guys, make sure you follow us on social media at Anthony and Todd on Instagram, Twitter. You can like us on Facebook at Anthony and Todd. You can subscribe to the podcast in whatever form you're watching. It helps out the show. Subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Anthony and Todd Show. Subscribe to watch all our videos. And you can also support us monetarily through Patreon at patreon.com/The Anthony and Todd Show. And give us the money so I can buy a jet ski and also get lost at sea like DJ Khaled.
He's still out there.
He's
We
still
gotta
out
go find
there.
him.
We gotta find him. And finally, if you want to watch our Twitch streams, you can find that at twitch.tv/The Anthony and Todd Show. And this has been episode 84 of The Anthony and Todd Show, an episode we would like to call
Beast Coast Escape from the City, starring Kurt Russell.
And till next time, guys, I've been Vincent.
I'm Trevor.
And see you, boyos.
Bye, everybody.